Welcome to FNB Training Concept YouTube channel. Thank you for subscribing, and if you've not yet subscribed, please subscribe so that you do not miss any of these informative trainings that will be shared. As I spoke earlier on, I said that we've introduced a new concept whereby we are going to be we're going to be creating slides or presentations. Then we're going to be discussing them on our YouTube channel. The first slide that we created is food and beverage classification. You can see the title displayed on your screen, and this is what you're going to be looking at. Okay, it's a very important area in food and beverage. So let's jump straight into the presentation. It's actually 19 slides, so that we make all the slides as short as possible. I'll let you go through some of the points by yourself. I'll be touching on the most important areas that I feel that needs to be elaborated. Okay, the objective of this, the objective of this today's training. We have listed some bullet points, but the most important one I'll be talking about is the last point: becoming a beverage ambassador. Beverage ambassador is basically a person with good knowledge on drinks, and he plays a very important role in restaurants or in hotels. This person can be able to represent the drinks. That means can be able to talk about the drinks to the customers, can be able to offer alternative in case one drink is missing. Can also, do upselling of the drinks, knowing how to increase. That is a way of increasing actually restaurant revenue. And one other important area is that this beverage ambassador can be used to train new recruits to the restaurants due to the good knowledge that he has on beverages. And that is the aim of this training, to make you a beverage ambassador. Let's proceed on with the slides. So slide number 3, this is the chart that we've developed so that it can make it easier for us to understand and be able to classify the beverages. So from this chart that we have created, at the topmost we have the word beverage. Okay, don't worry, you're going to look in details what beverage means, and then from beverage, it's again divided into two or classified into two. On the left side we have non-alcoholic, and on the right side we have the alcoholics. Let me zoom in so that you can be able to see. Okay, so we have non-alcoholic on the left hand side, and on the right side we have the alcoholic beverages. So for today's training, I'll recommend, since it's one of the big topic and cannot be covered in one slide or in one presentation, we're going to look at alcoholic beverages. Okay, this is the alcoholic, and then from there we're going to look at fermentation, distillation. We're just going to touch on the top on what these two terms mean, and then this is where we're mostly going to concentrate. Distilled, we're going to look at whiskey, gin, vodka, rum, brandy, tequila, and other spirits. Okay, other spirits will be liquor and cocktails. I'm sure this cocktail, it's going to be debated why it's been placed there, but just to elaborate why we decided to put it there, the team in F&B felt that cocktail need to be under distilled, mainly because most of the cocktail are actually spirit based, or they are actually made with distilled beverages. That is 95% of the cocktails. The other percent will contain fermented drinks, that is beers, ciders, and and wines. Okay, so let's continue with the slides and see what we have down. Okay, down we have the introduction and the definition of beverages. Okay, let me zoom in so that you can be able to see clearly. We've put a few words for to understand what is beverage, but I'll go just right down here in red. Okay, the best answer to this question is what is beverage? It's a well, it's any kind of liquid that is good for human consumption. That is beverage. Or we can, in other words, we can say that beverage is what? Beverage is a drink. Let's proceed to the slide. The slide here, you can, the slides down here, we can see that we have what? We need again to look at the term alcohol. What does alcohol mean? Or what is alcoholic beverage? Okay. Here we put this alcohol is a odorless liquid obtained through fermentation of sugar. Okay. There are actually several types of alcohol, but the most important that is of concern that will be ethyl or ethanol. Okay, alcohol, which is good for human consumption. Okay, so for a drink to be classified as alcoholic beverage, it at least needs to have 0.55 of alcohol by volume to at least 76% alcohol by volume. Okay, there we are. So we've identified what is alcoholic beverage. Just to add again, we have drinks that are actually more than 76% alcohol by volume, but mostly these they are put in category known as medicines. And why is that? Because these they are mostly anesthetics. Okay, that means if you consume this kind of high alcoholic drinks, you know you cannot be able to have sensation of your nerves. Okay, especially if you drink in large quantities. Okay, let's proceed and see what is down there. Again, we'll go back to the chart. We said for today's topic you're going to cover due to it's a very huge topic. Today we're going to cover what uh, beverages, and then we're going to go to alcoholic. This, let me zoom in from top. Beverages, alcoholic, distilled. We're going to look at what fermentation means, but mostly we are going to concentrate here, where we have whiskey, gin, vodka, rum, brandy, tequila, and other spirits. That is cocktails and liqueurs. Okay, mostly that is where we're going to concentrate. Let's proceed with the slides. We are now on slide 7. Slide number 7, as I mentioned before, these two words here, distilled or distillation, and the other side we have fermented or fermentation. We'll just understand what these two words means because they're very important when it comes to classification of alcoholic beverages. So let's start with fermentation. Fermentation is a natural process of reacting sugar and yeast, and after reacting these two products or these two substances, we get alcohol and carbon dioxide. It's a natural process. An example of drinks that are example of fermented drinks are wine, beers, and ciders. If you do not understand any of this, what is wine, beers, and ciders, we're going to have slides talking about in depth on what is wine and beers and ciders. Okay, we have a diagram here to illustrate the process. That means it's a natural process of sugar plus yeast. You get what? Alcohol. It's as simple as that. Okay, and distillation or distilled process. It is again a simple process. It's a simple term, but it might sound a little bit complicated. But generally, distillation is a process of evaporating and condensing of liquids or mixtures. This is actually a way of making them pure or purifying them. And example of drinks that are we get from by distillation is what we're going to be looking at in our chart. I'll take you back. That will be distillation. This will be the whiskey, gin, vodka, rum, brandy, tequila, and others. Okay, we have a diagram here to illustrate the process of distillation. That means inside here, this still container will have our fermented beverage, which is heated. Once you heat any liquid substance, it turns into vapor. The vapor will travel through the neck of this steel container and then go to the condensing. Let me zoom here, and you can be able to see here the condensing tubes. And then this condensing tube contains cold liquid. They actually cool the vapor, and the vapor turns into liquid. That liquid is what we call ethanol or ethyl alcohol. I hope you're clear. Until then, let's proceed. So for the process of distillation, there are two main processes that are used. One is pot still method, and the other one is a patent still method. Okay, I have some diagram to show the difference between these two methods. I'll recommend that you go through the notes for better understanding what in depth what actually these two methods mean, but I'll shallowly explain about them. The pot still, okay, it's actually the old method of distilling beverages. It's basically what I've mentioned up in the previous slide. The mash is heated, turned into vapor. The vapor is cooled down, and then we get the liquid again. Okay, through the drainage pipe here, where we have the drainage. Oh, no, it's actually the liquid is received here in the collector. Whatever is received here in the collector, that means it's our purified alcoholic drink or a spirit. Okay, this is the pot still method, and then this is patent still method. Patent still method is more of modern method of distillation. This is actually what is used nowadays. It is used because it's good for mass production, that is producing so much alcoholic beverage. The pot still, it's rarely used, but it's still used because of its slow method of purifying alcohol. I'll take you again back to our chart right over here. So we've already spoken about distillation and fermentation. I hope it's clear. Now we're going to jump to our first classification, where we're going to look at what is whiskey. Then from whiskey, we're going to go to gin and so forth. Okay, so let's go and understand what is whiskey. This is our slide about whiskey. Okay, this is slide. I think. Okay, first of all, let me go to here where it's written in red, these two terms. Okay, whiskey, we have whiskey that is EY, and the other one is spelled at the end with just KY without the E. The difference is one is American way of writing whiskey, that is the one with the ending EY, and the other one spelled without the E, that is whiskey. Still, they still sound both the same as whiskey and whiskey. It's the British way. There is no difference. It's just the it's just the way of writing, but there's no difference whatsoever. A deep difference when it comes to the brewing process of American whiskies and British or Scotch and Irish whiskies. That will not be discussing it at the moment. Now we're going to be looking at just the basic process of making whiskey. So, how is whiskey made, or how is a drink classified as whiskey? So, we can say that whiskey is a type of distilled alcoholic beverage made from fermented grain mash. Various grains are used that include barley, corn, maize, rye, and wheat. I'll also add I'll also add rice. When it comes to Japanese whiskeys, they actually use rice. That was not actually here. So for a drink actually to be classified as whiskey, it needs to go through the process of fermentation, distillation, and then aged in wooden cask, generally made of charred white oak. That is the most important part. That is why a drink is classified as a whiskey. It has to be aged in wooden cask, generally made of what? Charred white oak. We have some more notes. I recommend that you go through about the history of whiskey, where it originated from, and where it gained its fame. Okay, I'll show you the slide. The next slide showing the process of brewing whiskey. This is just the basics. The first process will be, look at the top, the with the star sign, that is malting. Generally, that means the barley, the one that is germinated, it's then dried, and then the next process is mushing, and then the process of fermentation, and then distillation. Uh, then from distillation, we've already looked at these two processes. Fermentation, that is means the grain mash is actually it contains sugar, so that means it's reacted with yeast to produce an alcoholic beverages. This alcoholic beverage is then distilled. Okay, it's heated, turned into vapor, condensed, and then we get our alcoholic spirit, which is then blended if it needs to be done, blended, added color or any other spices, if uh, if that needs to be done, depending on the kind of whiskey. The most important part for it to be again as classified as whiskey, it's aging, where it takes. This is done on uh, oak, and the duration of time again, it's going to vary on what kind of whiskey they want to produce. Okay, and the final step, it's bottling before selling. Let's look at this chart. Okay, right over here. That means the prep, mashing, fermenting, distillation, aging. Basic steps. Okay, let's proceed. I hope this slide is clear about whiskey. I'll be moving on to production of gin. Zoom in for this. Okay. So generally, again, gin is a it's a grain spirit. That means it's any type of grain that is, it will undergo still the same process as whiskey. The sugar in the grain will be reacted with yeast. Then it's going to be fermented. After the process of fermentation, it goes again to the process of distillation. But for this particular spirit to be called gin, there's a very important berry that needs to, uh, uh, is this berry. Let me zoom in so that you can be able to see it. Juniper berries, okay? These berries form the base or the predominant flavor of this spirit, the juniper berries. How do they look like? I have two pictures of it. This is the juniper berries. They're still green. From when they are dried, they look something similar to this. These juniper berries actually need to form the flavor of the spirit. So that can be called as what? As gin. And that's basically it about gin. We're going to revisit again and see, revisit, have a separate slide and see the classifications of gin, how to serve gin, the cocktails that can be made from gin, um, and that is for another slide. Okay, but that's how it is. That's basically the basic information about gin. Grain spirit, fermented, distilled, and the flavor, it has to be flavored by juniper berries. Let's proceed to vodka. Okay, so vodka was produced in Poland or and Russia in the 20th century and has been a favorite drink in the centuries ever since. So how is vodka made? I have some pictures here. There's a bottle of vodka. Generally, vodka was actually uh, produced from potatoes. The sugar in potatoes is reacted with yeast and then fermented, and then once it's fermented, distilled, and the end product that you get is what? Is vodka. This is one of the drink that is very simple to because it's not there's no any artificial flavors that is added. There's no any flavor in vodka. Uh, but nowadays you'll find that some vodkas are being brewed from even as far to what else? Hmm, yeah, they can do it with grains. They can do it with potatoes. They can do it with like for syrup vodka. They do it with grapes. Okay, but that we're going to talk once we start looking at vodka itself and seeing again the method of serving vodka, cocktails, origin, and classifying it further. But for now, we just look at it. The basics of vodka is it's a fermented drink made from, we'll just say potatoes at the moment, potatoes distilled, but no, it's after it's just distilled, that's how it's served. It has no distinctive, uh, you know, uh, taste. It's container free. I'll use the word container free. That means it has no distinctive taste, flavor, or smell. And that's the good thing about vodka. Once you come to vodka, you'll find that vodka is one of the most common alcoholic spirit used in cocktails. And the reason behind it is because vodka does not have any smell, okay, does not have any flavors. That means it picks up the flavor of the other ingredient you're going to add, whether it's a soft drink, whether it's a fruit juice, it actually easily blends. Okay, but and let's proceed. I hope vodka is clear. We'll go to rum. Rum, something went. Yeah, here. Oh, why is it jumping? Okay, sorry about that. Okay. Oh. Okay, we're going to look at rum. Rum basically is again for a drink to be classified as rum. That means it has to be uh, produced using sugar molasses or sugarcane syrup. So sugarcane syrup reacted with what? Yeast, and then distilled, and you'll have your rum. As simple as that. There's some more information about rum. I recommend that you go through it, okay, so that we save some time and be able to proceed to the next slide. We'll go to brandy. distillation of fermented grape juice and is suitably matured in oak, oak wood, oak wood casks for a minimum of 3 years. Let me set up the slide a little bit. Okay, I hope, I hope we can be able to see that. Okay, so brandy is grape juice that has been fermented and then distilled and then matured in oak wood cask for a minimum of 3 years. And it's as simple as that. For alcoholic drink to be classified as brandy, it has to be fermented grapefruit juice and then distilled, then matured in oak wood cask for a minimum of 3 years. If you look at the picture at the end, it has a glass. Whatever is underneath the wooden structure, that is what we call wooden cask made of oak, and it has to be matured in that. Okay. There's some more information here. You'll see the one in red: 1 star, 2 star, 3 star. Very important information again that you'll see on the labels of the bottles of brandy: VS, VSO, VSOP, XO. Okay. All this is going to be featured when we start looking at brandy by itself. I'm running low on charge, but I think we have enough charge to continue. Okay, that is brandy. The next slide that we're going to look is tequila. Very tequila. Tequila. Tequila is an alcoholic beverage. Again, it goes the same process as all other spirits: fermentation, distillation. But for a drink to be called as tequila, it has to be produced from a particular plant. That is the blue agave plant. Blue agave plant is found in Mexico, which is another very important thing. It has to The drink has to be fermented from this blue. The drink has to be produced from this blue agave plant, and it has to be produced in Mexico for it to be called or classified as tequila. Okay, if you do not understand what is blue agave, it's this plant. If you see that, if you look at the, let me zoom in closely. Okay, this is the blue agave plant. It's some people say it looks like cactus, but it's a little bit different from cactus, and it is not cactus. It's just blue agave plant. So for a drink to be called tequila, it has to be made from this plant. The gentleman that is actually harvesting it. Okay, for it to be classified as tequila, it has to be produced again in Mexico. That's how tequila is served. But anyway, this is illustration purposes. We're going to look again. We're going to make other slides just talking about tequila, all the cocktails produced by tequila, how to serve tequila, um, and that will be generally it. Let's proceed. I hope now we are clear on the distillation of beverages. Now we're going to look at, let me take you back to the chart. Let me find the chart. This is it. I'll zoom in a little bit here. So we've already spoken about whiskey, gin, vodka, rum, brandy, tequila. Now we are here. Other spirits. We are going to touch a little bit on liqueurs and cocktails. Let me find where we were. We are almost there. Slide 17 of 19, almost there. Okay. Liqueur. Liqueur is Generally, all the spirits that we've spoken about, gin, vodka, rum, okay, brandy, once they are flavored with either fruits, uh, bark of trees, let me zoom in so that you can be able to see, okay, flavors is added to the spirits that we've spoken about, it is no longer classified as a gin or a vodka or other. It goes to another class called liqueur, and it's as easy as that. And there's three processes of flavoring these drinks: maceration, distillation, and percolation. Okay, if you go through the slides, you'll be able to understand these terms in details. There are so many liqueurs. This is it. So let me zoom in. The one in red. This is the most important part that I need you to see. One can say that liqueur is a sweetened alcoholic drink made by merging the spirit and flavoring sugar spirit used in many various from brandy, gin, whiskey, rum, and others. That is what I've just spoken about. That means all the spirits that we've classified. That means once they're flavored, they are called as liqueurs. I'll talk about another word that is not actually here. There's a word that causes a lot of confusion. Okay, liquor and liqueur. Liquor, okay, if you come through a word liquor, liquor is another word for distilled beverages. Liquor, distilled beverages. And liqueur, that means it is distilled beverages that has been flavored. Okay, I hope that is clear. Now we'll go to the slide. What happened here? Okay, we'll go to the next slide and the last slide for today. That is cocktail. What is cocktail? We have some points here. You can go bullet points that you can go through, but in simple terms, a word to cocktail is a mixture of alcoholic drinks. Where's my cocktail? Ah, this is it. Okay, introduction to cocktail. That means it's a mixture of drinks, and they have to be alcoholic drinks for them to be classified as cocktail. If a mixture of drinks and it does not contain any alcoholic beverages, it's not called a cocktail but a mocktail. And that brings us to the end of our classification for today. I'll take you again to the chart so I can summarize on what we've let me zoom in. This is the area we've spoken about: distilled beverages. Okay, that is vodka, rum, brandy, tequila, and we've spoken about something about what? Liqueurs and cocktails. The next slide that you're going to be featuring, we're going to be talking about fermented drinks. Okay, we're going to cover another slide, and we can be able to cover all this and make you understand on the classification of beverages. We want to make you beverage ambassadors. That will be it for today. Thank you very much for your time. And please, if you've not subscribed, please subscribe and share this information with your colleagues, friends, and let's make food and beverage. Let us have more knowledge on food and beverage. Thank you. I'm one of your presenters, Douglas. Thank you very much, and thank you for your time. See you again in the next slide.